Welcome into the Lakers Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Sr. Coming up on today's show, we have a LeBron James injury update, and also there are some rumors about a potential Russell Westbrook for Kyrie Irving trade. Laker Nation not really happy with the start that Russell Westbrook has gotten off to in the purple and gold. They're fed up, and they kind of want Kyrie Irving because he's not playing with the Brooklyn Nets. Before we get into any of all of this, though, thanks to all of you for subscribing to the channel. We just surpassed 39,000 subscribers, a big milestone. So if you want more Lakers news and rumors, hit that red subscribe button down below. As I mentioned, got to get you updated on the LeBron James injury. Kind of a scary situation the other night. He got rolled up on. He's questionable for tonight's game against the San Antonio Spurs. The Lakers are calling it a right ankle injury. Not expected to be a long-term ailment for LeBron James, but it mirrored kind of what happened last year against the Atlanta Hawks when Solomon Hill rolled up on LeBron James's ankle. Similar situation right underneath the basket where he got hit with a body and was down on the floor in a lot of pain for a little while, but questionable for tonight's game against the Spurs. We'll see if he suits up. I don't necessarily think he has to, because for this organization and for him, his long-term health and the viability of it, very important for this franchise. LeBron, the King, of course, getting off to a miraculous start to the 2021-2022 season. He's been balling out like he's been balling out since he came into the league all the way back in 2003, averaging 26 points per game, north of 6 rebounds, a little more than 5 assists, so that number a little bit down from last year and in previous years, where he has really put an emphasis on creating for his teammates and dishing out the basketball at a very elite rate. LeBron also shooting from the floor a decent effective percentage at 46.5%. Pretty solid numbers for LeBron James as he gets closer and closer to turning 37 years old in December. He is the ageless wonder. He is the bionic man, and he continues to be an absolute machine. But since he came to the Lakers, he has suffered a couple of injuries. The groin injury back a few years ago. Then he was healthy for the NBA bubble season, in which he led the Lakers to the championship. Last year, ankle injury. This year, ankle injury. So as he progresses in age, this guy has played so many minutes and so many games throughout his career. That's why he is deemed the Iron Man. Are you concerned about some of these LeBron James injuries? Let me know how you're feeling in the comment section right now. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Be sure to get those votes in the comment section down below. Lakers Report presented to you and powered today thanks to our sportsbook partner, BetUS. This is the best deal that any sportsbook has to offer, and it really isn't even close. If you go to chatsports.com/Lakers, enter the promo code Lakers125, you get a 125% deposit bonus. So when you put $100 into your account using that link in that promo code, because that's the only way that this deal applies, you get an additional $125 back. Now, I'm going to simplify some of these betting odds for you and those of you who aren't familiar with them. So right now, LeBron James is plus 1,400 to win the NBA MVP this year. What that means is if you risk and bet $1 and he wins the MVP at plus 1,400 odds, you win $14. If you wager $5 on LeBron to win at those odds, you get $75 back. Trying to simplify it for you because sports betting, is becoming legal basically in many states across America. But for BetUS, that deal applies to anybody living anywhere across the entire United States. Next up on the docket here on the Lakers Report. Really want to get to these Russell Westbrook for Kyrie Irving trade rumors. These have been talked about in some NBA circles, but most notably among the Laker Nation fan base, who are really frustrated with the start that Russell Westbrook has gotten off to in a Lakers uniform. Here's the deal first with Kyrie Irving. He has not appeared in a game alongside Kevin Durant and James Harden and the Brooklyn Nets because he's not allowed to play, according to the organization, until he is a full participant. Well, Chase, why isn't he a full participant? He is not currently vaccinated, and because of New York City COVID laws, he can't play in home games if he is not vaccinated because it's at an indoor venue with fans on hand. And Laker fans who are frustrated with Russ are looking at this situation saying, okay, look, these guys have similar salaries. Kyrie Irving, probably the better player, fits in better with this Lakers roster. We don't really like this maddening start that Westbrook has gotten off to this year. Could maybe the Lakers, if this experiment with Russ over the next few weeks and months, because he can't be traded for a little while, be traded for a Kyrie Irving. There is no question that Russ and Kyrie are future Hall of Famers. These are two of the best guards to ever take the hardwood, but they have games that don't mirror each other. They are actually vastly different. For Russell Westbrook, he is a high flyer. He is an uber athlete who puts forward a bunch of effort, plays with this hair on fire type of style, and has a much more all-around game than a Kyrie Irving. He can score the basketball. He dishes it at a better rate, also rebounds it, and basically plays at 110 miles per hour all the time. Whereas Kyrie Irving, the best way I can kind of encapsulate his game, it is poetry in motion. But Kyrie Irving, Russell Westbrook have been putting up monster numbers for a really long time, and I think this side-by-side is actually pretty fascinating. It goes to show you that Russ's game, because he overtook Oscar Robertson for the NBA all-time lead in triple-doubles, is a little bit more well-rounded than Kyrie Irving. But throughout their careers, Russ, 23 points per game. Kyrie at almost 23. Rebounds per game for Russ, 7.4. Kyrie, never been a big rebounder at 3.8. Assists per game, Russ, a better disher of the basketball, 8.5 dimes, whereas Kyrie a little less than 6. But Kyrie is so much more of an efficient and effective offensive player and a much, much better shooter. You can really rely on him to score from all three levels and rely on him to be a much more efficient shooter from the outside. His field goal percentage and his three-point percentage, really evidence of that. Kyrie throughout his career, 47% from the floor, 39% from beyond the arc. Russell Westbrook, on the other hand, 43.7% and 30.5 from distance. Not good, especially with how the NBA game has changed, how the rules have benefited teams that chuck up more threes, and that's why I've never been the biggest fan of Russell Westbrook, because I think he's somewhat limited, even though he does give you a lot from a stat-filling standpoint. What would the Lakers starting lineup be with a Kyrie Irving? Look, I think that starting Kent Bazemore has been an awful move so far by Frank Vogel. Now, he's doing that because Wayne Ellington has been out of the lineup because of these soft tissue injuries. When he comes back, I think he's the best option to start at two guard for Los Angeles. So I kind of put the starting lineup together if the Lakers were to make this trade and Wayne Ellington is back. Starting five looks as such: Kyrie Irving, Wayne Ellington, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, as well as DeAndre Jordan. I think you can mix and match with DeAndre Jordan in that starting five. Personally, I think given the style of play stylistically across the NBA nowadays, DeAndre Jordan doesn't really give you a lot of value. In fact, I think he's like a trailer that weighs this starting lineup down because he doesn't do anything except basically clog the paint and serve as a rim protector. Kyrie Irving, to me, is a much better player than Russell Westbrook. So if it got to the point where Rob Pelinka, LeBron James were thinking about, okay, how can we make this team better? How can we make a player-for-player swap where their salaries are pretty much even? Should we trade Kyrie for Russ? I think at the end of the day, the answer to that question is yes, 7 days a week and again on Sunday. I also think that Kyrie, for the reasons that I mentioned, would be a better fit than Russell Westbrook. You team them back up with LeBron James. They have that level of familiarity. You get that floor spacing, which I think has been a little bit of a concern. This Lakers team has looked slow. They're not great defensively because they are a little bit older. Kyrie, not as good of a defender as Russ, but he does give you a better shooting option and a better floor spacing option than Westbrook. And lastly, I want to hit on this. Kevin Durant left OKC for Golden State at the time, partially because he no longer wanted to play with Russ. He realized that that tandem had a ceiling. He also realized that playing alongside a guy like that who doesn't have a great feel for the game and tends to choke late in games and can never slow it down in terms of his pace when the game slows down like it does in the playoffs is very, very frustrating, and it's not conducive to having playoff success. That's why I think Kyrie for Russ, if you're the Lakers, you got to do it if those talks do come to fruition and they do streamline a little bit. So Laker Nation, I know some of you are on the Russell Westbrook train, others are not. Pick one between Kyrie and Russ. Type KI for Kyrie Irving, RS for Russell Westbrook. Get those votes in the comment section, and let's get to 40,000 subscribers right here on the channel. We just surpassed 39,000. You want entertaining and informative Lakers coverage? Smash that subscribe button down below, and thanks for watching today's show.